Okay, so we are officially live. And okay, they are officially receiving feedback. Okay, so we are officially live. Let me move this. Whatever. Okay. So hi everyone, welcome to our panel today. Thank you for tuning in. To start off, I just wanted to give you guys a quick intro of who we are, who you guys are going to be talking to today. And so to just begin, my name is Gabby Blandino. I am going to be a junior at Cal this year, and I am a pre-med, so I'm MCB major, and with an ethnic studies minor. If Camille would like to go ahead and go next.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Camille, and I'm also going to be a junior at Cal at this fall. And my major is industrial engineering and operations research, which is in the College of Engineering. And I'm from Los Angeles.
Sarah, if you'd like to go next.
Hey everyone, my name is Sarah. I'm a political science major, Middle Eastern Studies minor, and I'm going to be a senior. And I'm from Bakersfield, California.
Right. Hi, I'm Steven. I am a computer science and linguistics double major. I am an incoming fourth year, and I'm from Los Angeles.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So like I said, welcome and thank you for tuning in. I just want to give you a quick rundown of what our agenda will be. So first, I'm going to give you guys a quick intro about the Regents and Chancellor Scholarship in general and what that entails being an RC scholar. And then we're going to go to the pre-asked questions that we received via our Google form. So if you guys ask those questions, we'll definitely be answering those soon. And then towards the second half of our panel of our hour, we're going to be taking our Q&As. So if you have any questions throughout the entire YouTube thing, please start asking them now so that I can start ordering them, and then we can go ahead, once we reach that part of the panel, answering those. And so, awesome, we're going to start now. So congratulations, like I said, but also what the heck did you guys get yourselves into? Let me let you know. So first of all, the scholarship part of the RC scholarship is based on financial need. So the money you get will definitely be based on that. So fantastic. If you need money, you have it. Next is our financial advising by our lovely Anne. You guys, if you're like me, will be getting to know her really well and really soon. So if you guys ever have any questions about financial aid and when your money is going to be coming in or what to do with it or what your budget allows, definitely talk to Anne. You probably received some emails from her already, like I have. I think you guys probably might have too. So if any questions come up that has to do anything with money, definitely direct them to her. She's available on campus at Sproul at any time. I think you might need to make some appointments, but I walk in sometimes. So definitely go ahead and do that if you have any questions. The next part of being an RC scholar is priority registration. Real quick, do you guys like priority registration?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, literally it's the best. So priority registration, you may not have reaped those benefits yet in your first phase one because with orientation, it kind of messes things up. But from phase two in this semester and on, you guys will be getting priority registration, which means that you basically have no problems getting into the classes that you want because you have first pick at everything. And so that's definitely an amazing part of being an RC scholar. Another thing that is part of these, so another thing, when it comes to registration, we break it up into phases 1 and 2. I think you guys have definitely had a bit of a taste of that already. But phase 1 gives you 13.5 units that you can add into your schedule right off the bat. And as a Regents scholar, you guys get that option to fill up your schedule before anybody else does. So it's a very, very good perk. And then phase 2, you get to basically pick the rest. And so that's just how we split it up to kind of help with the influx of like all the people that would be coming in. And another part of the RC scholarship is having a faculty mentor, which we'll be addressing in more detail a little bit later. But basically what that is that you'll be assigned a mentor at the beginning of the school year that you can meet up with as much or as little as you like. It's definitely going to be your choice on how you decide to let that relationship play on. And definitely let them be your guide to Cal because they've been around for a long time. They've been hand selected to be part of like RC mentors, and they're amazing. And they're usually within your respective major. If you switch majors, things get a little different, but you can definitely figure it out once you're there. And definitely reach out to them. Sometimes they'll reach out to you, but it's not necessarily common. Ask them to go to tea, ask them to get coffee. They'll probably really like that. And then another part of the RC scholarship is guaranteed housing, and that's very different from priority housing, so keep that in mind. But I'd like to say that sometimes our Regents scholars definitely feel like it's still priority housing, but just keep that in mind. You always have the option to live off of campus during your time here, but if you would like university housing, you will be guaranteed a spot somewhere. You get a research stipend in the amount of $1,000, and the honorarium of being honored as top 2% of your class. So again, congratulations. And then the best part, okay, one of the best parts of being a RNC scholar is RCSA, which stands for the Regents and Chancellors Scholarship Association. And that is more elaborately put, the people who put this on, the people who will put on events and programs and opportunities throughout your entire 4 years here at Cal. And it's an association of us, these scholars, that provide a variety of events and services for people within our scholarship. And it's basically made of committees. This entire association is made of committees that organize things that you guys might be familiar with, like ROHP and TEDx Berkeley, and others that you'll be more familiar with during your time here, like faculty game night and our inter-UC conference and resume building workshops and our talent show. So we definitely do a lot of things year round that you'll definitely be hearing about, and so keep your ears open. We also have a website. RCSA has a website that you can go to. Literally just Google like RCSA Berkeley and you'll find it. And also come to the RCSA orientation at the beginning of the school year to find a room full of people excited to get you informed and involved in what RCSA can do for you here at Cal. And so now to bypass all of my talking and go to our questions for our panelists. Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. So to start off with some general questions that we received via our Google Forms is, so I'm gonna ask each of you please respond. How has being a Regents Scholar affected your experience at UC Berkeley? Camille, if you'd like to start.
Okay, well, I guess I would say it's impacted me very positively. So I joined the web development committee here, and I did it my sophomore year as well. And so those people were really great. It was like a little family. Our freshman year, it was like we had lots of insects. Our committee leader, we called her mom, and she hated it. And we all would get boba after every meeting. And like I feel like I sound like I'm making it up, but it's completely real. And we all still, you know, like talk and like hang out. And like when our mom graduated, we were all very sad. And I got to meet these fabulous people on this call. Gabby's one of the first people I met at Cal. And as you can tell, she's amazing. So, I mean, it's nice because you get to meet all the people who did amazing things in high school, and you get to hear the amazing things that they did and see what they're doing at college. And like, you know, another Regents scholar started a really cool space club at Cal, which now I get to be a part of because I know him. Okay, so it's just, there's a lot of opportunity in it to like just meet people, to do events, to meet faculty, to get whatever you need out of campus. So if you need the resume building workshop, like she mentioned, you can go to that. Or if you just, you know, need some friends to hang out with, just like join a committee, or you're really into, you know, whatever it is, like there are so many small opportunities there that you can get out of it, or you can get into like the full-blown leadership, executive, you know, and like that looks nice to have, you know, that you're the leader of an organization on campus that's, you know, the top 2% of like the #1 public university in the world. So you can really get anything you want out of it. And I think it's one of the better opportunities at Cal. And then, you know, for me, I think it's enriched my life in a lot of small ways rather than like one big way, but just like a lot of small ways.
I definitely agree with that. This scholarship has really helped me, I guess, statistically with classes, and also having the ability to, you know, get a $1,000 research stipend. It's really, there's a lot of great resources you can draw from this scholarship. And I think for me, the one that's impacted me the most is RCSA, especially just socially, because my first semester, freshman year, there were so many different clubs. I didn't know what to do, and I just really didn't want to overwhelm myself. So I just joined one, and that was the liaison committee of RCSA. And that's where I met Stephen, and I ended up meeting some of my closest friends today. And it was definitely an amazing decision. The club has really given me a lot, and so it has encouraged me to continue to be a part of it. I'll be one of the co-presidents this year, so it was never about like, oh, I want to keep, climbing the ladder. It was always about how can we make this scholarship better for everyone to kind of get the most of their time at Cal. So I would say that it really depends on how much you want to take out from it.
Stephen, would you like to answer as well?
Oh, I agree with everything that Sarah said. When I first came to Cal, I didn't think that I would be, looking for like a community experience as much as RCSA has provided. Like, they really surprised me how much I could really connect with the people around me and people with similar experiences. I didn't think that, I didn't know how much RCSA would have impacted me when I first came to Cal. And now that, I've met people through RCSA, I've joined the liaison committee where I met Sarah and I also met Gabby the year after, and I stayed in the liaison committee just because how much I love the committee. Yeah, it's opened me up to like new experiences, meeting new people, and working with the people who are in the committees with me. It was just a great experience. Yeah, not much to add.
Awesome. I definitely agree with everything everyone has said. And I also want to talk about the diversity of being part of RCSA. Like being a bio major, I basically only get to talk to bio majors. We study together because that's like mostly what I do. And so you end up kind of sticking around the same group of people all the time. And that's not a bad thing because it keeps you in the mindset of what you're studying. But it's also really nice to branch out and talk to people of other majors. So as you can see here, like these are three of like some of my greatest friends, and they're all different majors than I am. And thank goodness, because talking about bio all day drives me insane. So definitely getting to know people from other majors has been a really, really great part of RCSA, or else I'd be out of my mind. In a good way, So basically it's not only broadened my group of friends, but it's definitely gotten me involved in some really amazing things that I'm proud to add to my resume and proud to just say that I've been able to be a part of. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of just community and family and finding your little niche on our campus to feel comfortable and be yourself. So I honestly love it. Another question we were asked is, what is one piece of advice you have for incoming students? If Camille would like to start.
Yeah, so academically, I would say advice would be that I always got and that I will pass on is go to office hours, because that is where you will get one-on-one time with the professor or the GSI who will either actually help you directly with the homework or just give you a better relationship with that professor when grades come around, at the end of the semester, or perhaps a research opportunity. I know I got a letter of recommendation out of office hours. And then I would say in like a very more personal growth sense, like a lot of people are really afraid of Cal. And what I would just recommend to you is instead of studying hard, study smart. All of you are obviously did something that got you in here with the Regents scholarship. So you're obviously very smart. You have a lot on your plate, a lot going for you. Just make sure you're managing your time well and not just staring at hours and hours, because while you feel like you did a lot, I would say that perhaps, 1 hour studying, half-hour boba break, 2 hours studying, something like that. That's what I would say. Is just don't go crazy. Try to have a balanced life because there's more to life than just studying.
Yeah, I would actually, my advice would be on that same note. Make sure you know your resources, because some students, when they come to Cal, it's very easy to get overwhelmed because there's so much to do and there's so much, to be a part of, and there's so much, work, and it can all get kind of mixed together. So know what kind of resources Cal has to offer. And specifically, for instance, Tang, we have 5 free mental health counselings. We have various massage chairs that are wonderful. I've been taking advantage of them this summer, and it's just been amazing. We have free pet hugs on Sprout, which has just been the light of my life. And I would just say, make sure that you take care of you, especially your first semester, when it can be, harder when making that transition from high school to college. Make sure that you're doing things that are good for not only your mental health, but also just make you happy, because I think that is really important balance to find. And a lot of people, especially like me, I came in here, I was like, okay, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna get good grades, and like that's what I'm gonna focus on. And then my second semester, I ended up joining another 2 more clubs, and I ended up going out a little bit more, and it really just enriched my experience at Cal.
Yeah, building on that note of like, Cal having a lot more new experiences, what's something that I would say would be, it's always good to find your niche and like, really find out who you are and like to really, figure out yourself as you go through college. Like, I always try to warn people to not stay too comfortable with where you are exactly, because there's so many new experiences at Berkeley, and sometimes you would find it like you would always prefer to, stay to yourself and like stay in your room and like not reach out and like not go to find other people to hang out with and stuff. We all get comfortable, and I know that it's like a very good thing to be comfortable and be in a place where you like know exactly what's going on, but not to live in a bubble, to like always be open to having new experiences, because there's so much going on in Berkeley. There's a lot of new things to see, a lot of new things to try, and I feel like if you stay comfortable, always doing the same thing and living in a rut, you won't really use the Berkeley experience, because there's so many things going on in such a big college environment. So being open to new experiences will always help you out at Berkeley.
I definitely agree with everything everyone said, as usual. And then one thing I'd like to add is that when I got to Cal, I was really freaked out that I wasn't doing as well as I usually do in school. And I feel like that's kind of a common sentiment among students here, that it's like kind of a slap in the face. You're just not used to this kind of rigor, this kind of curriculum, and it comes at you fast and it comes at you hard. And that's totally okay, because we're scholars, this is kind of what we deal with. But I just wasn't used to that, and it kind of freaked me out. And I definitely had to like seek resources in the case of like talking to people about it, and just kind of like letting these emotions out, because keeping them in I don't think was a good idea. And then also I had to teach myself how to study all over again. And I had to start from square one, and I had to be like, you know what, this isn't working. What I'm used to isn't working, and I really have to figure this out, because like these are 4 years that are coming at me and fast. So basically what I did was I like sat down and I tried a million different things, a million different ways to like keep information in my head. And of course, I'm not going to give you my study tips, because I think it's going to be different for everybody, and what works for me is probably like crazy to you. So I just think that it's okay to realize, like, you know what I'm used to is not what's happening anymore, and I need to figure out something new, something different, to make sure that I am going to be successful here, because ultimately that's what you want. And so don't be scared to try new things. Don't be scared to go outside of your comfort zone. Of course, you have this community here that will always help you out as well, but just be prepared for something like that if that's the case, if it happens to you like it happened to me. And so now to move on, there's a question that was asked about the sense of community among Regents scholars. And I think we've already kind of addressed this a few times already. And so I'm just gonna say yes, there is. Depending on how much you would like to be a part of our association, you can definitely find a family, or find just a few really cool acquaintances, or not know anyone at all. So I'd like to show that it definitely depends upon you and how much you would like to be involved in RCSA. But if you choose to be part of it, you can definitely 100% wholeheartedly find your best friends here. And the whole like Regents Association becomes a small family, it becomes a small community. So that's definitely all on you. But if you take advantage of it, then yes. And then Sarah, if you could just answer this for me, okay? This was another question that was asked. Are the new RNC orientation and the RC reception required? And is it worth going to?
So it's not required. However, if you want to basically have a really good footing and want to understand and get ahead and have like a really solid kind of first kind of experience at Cal, I would really, really recommend going. For me, our year, we did think it was, everyone thought it was mandatory. So everyone showed up, and we were a really tight year because of that, because everyone went to the orientation. Everyone recognized people, I think, more. And so I know a lot of, I met a lot of actually friends at the orientation and afterwards, and also through our Welcome Week activities. So I would really, really highly recommend going. And even if you don't go to any of them, the one you should go to is orientation, because that is put on by the scholarship office, and that will tell you not only what the scholarship gives you, but it will also tell you what resources and benefits you have at Cal. So I would say that it's very worth going to.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. That's why Sarah, obviously our president, was best to answer this question. And so now we had a lot of questions regarding mentors and that part of the scholarship that I also wanted to address. And if each of us could just briefly describe your relationship with your mentor, if any. Camille, start, please.
So I came to Cal as a mechanical engineer, so my mentor was also a mechanical engineer, but I knew that I wanted to switch very quickly, so I actually ended up not ever meeting my mentor in person, and once I switched into the major, I very quickly met the new chair of my department, Ken Goldberg. So I actually have a very close relationship with him, so I didn't actually feel the need to go to RCSA and ask to get a new RCSA mentor, because I kind of already got the faculty connection that I wanted to get. So, you know, I'm working in his lab and going to his department meetings and all that. So I do have a relationship with him more as like a boss kind of, but that's kind of what I wanted out of getting a mentor. So not the RCSA mentor, but still a faculty advisor that is on my good side. So.
Yeah, so since I'm a Middle Eastern Studies minor, I was paired with a mentor from the Near Eastern Studies department, and we met a couple of times my freshman year, and it was really nice to just talk to him about like where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do after college, and just in general, is very, very cool professor. But I actually we have a committee within RCSA called the Alumni Committee, and they put on something called faculty dinners. So I went to a faculty dinner with Professor Perl in the political science department, and I ended up actually making a really great connection with him, and I ended up taking one of his courses last semester. And so it's kind of, even though he's not my official RCSA mentor, I've really gained a lot through RCSA and the professors that love to be involved with RCSA scholars, because that's what they're there for. They're there to help you kind of either further your goals, or they're there to help to be kind of a sounding board. And I will say that I've gotten to know a lot of professors, and each of them has a different approach with their mentees. Some of them, if you're in more of the STEM majors, they like to get you into a lab, whether it's their own lab or whether it's one of their colleagues' labs. They like to make sure that, you know, you're taken care of, and that that, you know, you have a good experience at Cal. But this is all dependent on you. I had to reach out to my mentor. So really it depends on how much you like the entire RC scholarship. It depends on how much you really want to get out of your mentor.
Yeah, so if you guys notice, we have one more panelist that just signed on. I wanted to introduce him real quick. This is Angel. If you'd like to give your major and minor, if applicable, and then your year, and yeah, go ahead.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
All right. Oh, we don't hear you. Dang. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce Angel. Angel is IB? No? MCB? He's one of those two. He's basically pre-med, and I think he's like I'm not going to introduce him. Okay, when his mom works and he'll let me know, I'll stop and introduce him. But for now, Stephen, can you go ahead and talk about your relationship with your mentor, if any?
So I didn't really have a mentor that was related to my major because I came into Berkeley as an English major, and there is no English major department head like the RCSA, and that really sucks. So I was paired with someone that's completely irrelevant to my major and my interest. She was really nice and really cool. So she was a Scandinavian department, Scandinavian studies department head. And we could talk about how like, oh, humanities have taken over. Oh, sorry, humanities have not taken over. Like STEM has taken over, right? So, but other than that, yeah, we didn't really have much connection. So I found other resources to help me out, other resources that RCSA helped with.
Yeah. So my now relationship with my mentor is kind of strange. I actually wasn't assigned one for whatever reason at the very beginning of the year, and that was a problem we tried to resolve towards the end. But then eventually I just kind of forgot about it and I stopped asking for one, and so then I didn't actually get paired up with one. And so that's kind of my choice to not necessarily take advantage of that opportunity, even though I probably might again this year ask for a mentor. But like I believe Sarah mentioned, there's a different way to get mentors. There are like alumni mentors or faculty mentors or something that you can also get in contact with. So if you're not super buddy-buddy with your RCSA mentor, there are different ways, especially like Camille had already said, to find mentors outside of RCSA. But this is just a perfect opportunity for you to get paired up with one right off the bat based on your major. And so one question was asked earlier about where we can find out who your mentors are, and that usually happens at the RC reception. So once you get there at the very beginning of the year, usually you'll be paired up with your mentor and you can meet him or her there if they ended up attending, and that can be your first meeting. And then there is an option to change your mentor if for whatever reason the mentor doesn't apply to you, if his degree isn't applicable to yours or something like that. There are always ways to change it up because there's so many mentors that we have that you can switch. And I guess I want to direct this to Sarah then, because the question is how to make the most out of your interactions with your mentor.
I would say just right off the bat, introduce yourself, send an email. That's what I did. And we met up pretty early on, and he kind of explained to me right off the bat that he was like, okay, this is what I can do for you. This is kind of the role I can play here at Cal. And so, we kind of realized that, unless like I was going to get really, really proficient at Arabic, that it wasn't going to be that much of a beneficial relationship. But, we kept in contact. And so to how to get the most, my advice would be to go to our alumni events. We have this really amazing fun event called Faculty Game Night. And we have different events like stargazing with a professor of astronomy, or like you can go on hikes and you can go foraging in nature. You can go to dinners. So my advice would be, if you are assigned a mentor that's not in your major, or would be really to go out, and whether it's through RCSA, whether it's through office hours, whatever avenue, take initiative.
Awesome. Yeah, Stephen, do you have anything to add to your relationship with your mentor and how to make the most out of it?
Not much to add. Just want to say, yeah, like reaching out is good. Like it's hard for them. It's as awkward as it is for you to reach out. It's even more awkward for them to reach out to you. So it's probably best if you tried reaching out first, because you're the one who's interested in the relationship. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, perfect. And then okay, so then there was a more general question regarding the RC scholarship, asked about grades and what happens if you don't get a 3.0 in your first semester. So I believe, as you all know, you are required to keep a 3.0 to maintain your scholarship during your 4 years here. And so to not get a 3.0 seems really scary. It's like, okay, am I going to lose my scholarship? What's going to happen? I believe technically you will be put on an academic probation. Officially, that is my stance. That's what's going to happen. You're going to be put on academic probation, and if you keep that up during your 4 years, I believe you lose the scholarship. Unofficially, I'd like to say that no one really notices if you get below a 3.0, and that I would just advise you to boost that up by the next semester so that they don't actually notice afterwards. So I'm just going to say unofficially that nothing really happens, but please be careful. Don't take my word on that because it is part of your scholarship to keep that 3.0.
If I could add something, if you I actually did it today. If you go to the contract that you signed when you accept your scholarship, the language actually doesn't require you to have a 3.0. It says that the goal is for everyone to have a 3.0. So if you are really nervous about it and something comes to bat, I would just check the contract that you signed.
I like that. I definitely like that answer because I actually do know a few Regent scholars who might have gone something below and they're still Regent scholars. So yay. Okay. So now that that is addressed, another question was asked about the panel's opinion of the max number of units that an RC student can handle. And so I would just like to ask you guys what you guys think about this, whether units as an RC scholar or just a Cal student in general, how that works. So Camille, if you'd like to start.
Yeah, so my major IUR, actually all of my major classes are usually 3 units. So even when I'm taking 4 classes in my major, I'm only taking 12 units. So a lot of people actually like pick on me that I'm not taking that minutes. But talking upperclassmen is if you don't need to push yourself, if you don't need to take 18, 20 units because you have to graduate early, then why do that? You know, you're only in college for 4 years. You should enjoy it. You know, I would say look at your 4-year plan ahead of time and think about, do you want to front load? Do you want to spread it all out? When do you want to do your general requirements? When do you want to do your major classes? Because I personally like having some major and some non-major so that I have a little bit of balance and less intensity around like all of these classes are really important and I better get an A in all of them. I wouldn't really get concerned about the actual number of units. I think the hardest semester I took was I took 4 4-unit classes, the general ed requirements. So I was taking physics and math and English, and each of those is 4 units. So that was actually really tough for me because each of those classes is like substantial. So I was taking 16 units plus some decals, so I was around 18 units. So I would say that was kind of my hardest semester at Cal because each class is like, yeah, I wouldn't say any of them are particularly challenging in their own right, but it's a lot of work and a lot of hours. And if I could change anything, I would have probably swapped one of those classes for an IOR class because I would have enjoyed that more and it would have made my entire balance a little bit better. I do know someone who's crazy and takes 22 units. He's not a Regent scholar and he's perpetually stressed. He has no time to hang out with anybody or do anything. He ended up quitting almost everything he does. I know 2 twins actually who are double majoring and taking 22 course loads and they quit everything they're doing. And I personally think that when you're going to college and you're paying for this experience, you're not just paying to take classes, you're also paying for that environment and that community and the experiences that Steven was talking about. Because when are you going to get to take a decal or learn how to swing dance and like also learn how to cook and maybe take a class in the Scandinavian department, because why not? So I would say go for whatever feels good for you, that you're balanced and you feel comfortable and you can do well that semester. And I did front load my first 2 years a little bit because I wanted to finish my general requirements, but maybe you want to push that into the middle of your time at Cal when you know a little bit better what you're doing. So I wouldn't recommend going super easy your first semester, but you know, just a lower to middle balance. Just balance is really my recommendation here. Just really make sure you feel balanced and able to take on everything you want to take on. Because I would imagine as Regent scholars, you did a lot in high school and you plan on doing a lot in college, and everything takes up time and time runs away from you very quickly. So just really think about everything you want to get done and the time frame that you have, and don't push yourself too hard because you have plenty of time to take 20 units if that's really what you want to do, but see how you can handle 12 first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely echo that. I think it's really important to do what's best for you, and each person is different. I know some people that are taking like 20 units that like they have a lot of work to do, but they can handle it. For me personally, I am a disabled student on campus, so I make sure that for health reasons, I don't overload myself. I take anywhere between like 12, I've taken 15. It's important to know your limit and to kind of test the waters a little bit your freshman year. I made sure to start out a little bit easier with 13 units. Then I went up to like 15, 16 units. And then that was not good for me. And so I found my happy medium. And I think it's really important to really evaluate what's going to work best for you. Take into account if you need to do research, if you need to work, if you want to be involved in extracurriculars, because if you do decide to take on a more heavy academic semester, it will affect your other areas that you're involved in.
Yeah, so my 2 cents about what units you should take. Yes, I agree with everyone saying that you should really test the waters because, like Sarah and like Camille said, you've done a lot in high school and you've really put in a lot of work in high school, but the time it takes to do things in college, it's a different kind of time. It's like in college time, and I think you really should not overload yourself in the first semester. I don't regret taking like 14 units my first semester. It was the best decision ever when I had friends taking like 16 up because I had time to figure things out, time to, realize what worked for me and who I was. And then after I figured out, what worked for me, then I allowed myself to, take 17, then take 20, then take 21. Like I was one of those people. But that was only because I, really thought I could do it. And then now that I'm, almost finishing up college, I've been slowly dropping at however many units I want, and I'm never going back to the 22 unit semesters I've had, ever. I'm not, definitely not. Because you also got to consider how much time it takes to, if you have a job or if you have research you need to do, that takes up time too. And you'll be loading more and more stuff as you go on in your college experience, more things that take up your cycles. So, it's always good to start off slow, ramp it up, and then see where to go from there.
Yeah, definitely. Before I answer, I just wanted to remind you guys that we will be doing a quick Q&A at the end of this session. So if you guys do have any questions, definitely ask them now in the live chat that's happening on YouTube. So, okay. And yeah, I basically agree with everyone. I think it's a really good idea to like test the waters with units. First, you can try a good amount. And if you like that, if you're comfortable with that, if that's something you can do successfully, not just do like half-assedly, but successfully, then you should go on and see what else you can take. I really, even though I'm a STEM major, I really do enjoy the humanities programs that we have here. And so I've taken advantage of that. And so I've always taken my course load of STEM classes along with like an English class or an ethnic studies class or something like that. And I've definitely really enjoyed that because it's balanced everything and it's actually let me take on more units than I would have otherwise. And so you're good, Angel, we can hear you. And so I started off taking, I think, 16 units my first semester. And I kind of kept that pretty steadily. But now that I'm kind of finishing up with like the breadth courses that we need to take that are usually not STEM related, I've been taking less just so when I do take my STEM classes, I can focus on those more wholeheartedly. And so then I kind of agree now that I know what it's like to take a bit less, even though I never hit like the 20 mark for units. I don't think I ever want to take more than a good 14, 15, because that's what's me. And yeah, I definitely think it's like everyone has said, to test the water, figure out what works for you, and then kind of move on. I don't think it's necessary to take 20 some units every semester unless you want to major in everything at the same time. But I do really respect people who can take on all of that and do it successfully. So that's fantastic. Angel, do you have anything to say about units and how much you should take?
Definitely.
Yourself?
Definitely don't go over 14 for sure. I mean, as a junior, I don't know. I'm a junior transfer, so for me, that first semester was more of an adjustment period. So that first semester here was definitely just like trying to see how many units like I was capable of like handling. I I don't know. I definitely wouldn't recommend going above 15 for sure. 15 is like, I think already kind of like testing the limits, but I mean, if you're good at time management, I feel like you could definitely manage everything a little bit more efficiently. It all depends on your capabilities and how you manage that.
Awesome, thank you. Now, this was a question asked, and I might as well have you guys answer it if you guys are comfortable with this, but what is the max number of units each of you has attempted? Go ahead if you're willing. Anyone?
I guess I'll start. Like the most I've ever taken, I think the caps at like, what is it, like 14, 15? It's like the most I've attempted here is 14, but before I transferred, I did 15 units. I was taking calculus, chemistry, and bio at the same time, and I wouldn't recommend it. It was like borderline impossible. You got to take into consideration that not only are you utilizing most of your time to study for your classes, but like if you have extracurriculars too, like that stuff takes up a lot of time as well. And like you also got to eat and sleep and like find time to do that as well. So like try not to overwhelm yourself with whatever like classes you've taken.
Camille?
Yeah, I can go next. I think I mentioned already, my major classes are usually 3 units. So even when I was taking 4 technicals or 5 technicals in my department, it's not that impressive number of units or anything. But when I was taking, I think I was taking linear algebra, and I was taking physics 7B, and I was taking, oh gosh, I blocked it out. I was taking 4 4-unit classes. So I was taking 16 units of general engineering requirements. Oh, I was taking English. I was taking rhetoric. Don't take rhetoric if you don't like rhetoric, by the way. I liked it, but it was a lot of work. So the 16 academic units that were all requirements for me to, in the College of Engineering. And then I was taking a 2-unit decal. So I was taking 18 units, but yeah, I mean, it was hard. That was my worst semester, and I have to explain it away at job fairs and such. I did do it. I also had a lot of club stuff. I was the new president of a club and trying everything I could try, and so I definitely had too much in one semester. I did manage it. It was really tough, and I took a very long break from working after that semester, just like laid in my bed. So it's possible. It's not like the end of the world. Like I did it, and it was totally fine. I just wanted to get my general requirements out of the way. So I took that hit, but now I have a very, very easy course loads for the rest of my time here. So.
Yeah, so just pure academic units, the most I've ever taken was 15. However, I'm in something called URAP, or the Undergraduate Research Apprenticeship Program, and you actually get units for research. And with that extra, the most units I've ever done is 16. But yeah, I kind of realized after, because I took 15 units my second semester freshman year, that was a little bit too much for me. And so I've tried to stay around the 13 academic units, which for me has been great. I've been able to fulfill all of my major and do a minor, and I might actually have room for another minor. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm like, don't do what I did. So I actually had a semester where I took 21 units. I took 2 CS upper division classes, algorithms and databases, and I took 2 upper division linguistics classes, metaphor and phonetics, and I also took an advanced conversation French class just for fun because I really wanted to learn it. And on top of that, I was a TA. I was a 8-hour TA. So that was 1 unit. And then another unit, I had research for something that's similar to what Sarah said. Instead of URAP, undergraduate research, I did something called LRAP, which was linguistics research. So I did that. And yeah, I came with 21 units, and it was, it was a rocky, it was an okay semester for me because I love the topic so much. And that's what I think, if you're going to be like going through all this hard coursework at Berkeley, really, if you like the material, then that's okay if you like the material. I actually really liked it. But of course, you don't want to overload yourself. So always, make sure you're okay with what you're deciding to do every semester. It's a big decision.
Yeah. So when it comes to like academic units, again, I've taken, I think the most was like 16, but a lot of the time what happens with like pre-med or just maybe bio majors, I don't know if you agree with me, Angel, is that you take like a 3-unit class, but it's actually like 3 different classes. You have to usually take, two, sorry. You have to take the lab separately from like the lecture and discussion part. So even though it's all one class, you're still taking 2 different midterms and 2 different finals, and you have 2 different sets of homework. And so it ends up taking up so much of your time, especially when labs themselves can be anywhere from like 2 to 4 hours, and they are exhausting. So when it comes to how many units academically you'd like to take as a bio major, you do have to be really careful because 3 units can actually take an entire Thursday. It can take like an entire day when it comes to like the work you have to do and like the classes that you actually have to be present for. And so it can be really, really exhausting. So I feel like for bio majors or for like the pre-med track in general, if you're MCB or IB or public health, something like that, you kind of want to be on the like the more narrow side of units that you want to take, just because of how often you're required to like be present at some place, and because you basically get double. So when I was taking like physics and chem and bio all at the same time, each of them all had a lecture on their own, a discussion on their own, which is typical, but they also, each of them had labs. So I had 3 labs the entire year, and each of them had their own midterms and their own finals. So it's just a lot of work, and you definitely have to consider stuff like that. But yeah. And I believe that's the end of what happened, or the questions on units. And there are a few major specific questions that we were asked. And Stephen, I'd like you to begin answering this question. Can you talk about the computer science honors, the one affiliated with EECS, and what does it consist of, and is it worth it to pursue that honors? If you're familiar with it, of course.
So there are lots of programs that have to do like honors programs at Berkeley. So I think the one that the question is referring to is the honors program after you've taken your lower division courses and declared in the major, and you've had, I think, 3 or 4 semesters to prove, how dedicated you are to computer science. I think there's a application that you can fill out, and you'll be connected to a lot of faculty in the CS department and also the EECS department. They're all very related. You can get in contact with professors who can get you hooked up with some research. You'll be, on their teams, researching the new biggest things that's happening in the computer science world. And it's a good place to meet people, other hardworking CS scholars who are just looking for research opportunities, connections, friends. It's all fun. But there are lots of other things that potentially could be like a very similar name. Like what I had thought the question was about was this program called Computer Science Honors something. Basically, like it's the program that incoming freshmen can go into if they're from underprivileged backgrounds. So if you haven't had much programming experience, this is another option for you to strengthen your foundation in computer science from the get-go, so that the future of your career is more fluent.
Thank you, Stephen. And now we have one regarding EECS major. So I believe, Camille, this is you. And it says that some classes in other departments are heavily interested in stats and econ and have limited the course enrollment to declared majors or class. And so the question is then, will Regents enrollment priority help them get into those popular classes? That thus includes stats and econ.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an EECS major, but as an industrial engineer, a lot of us do try to take statistics classes and economics classes because they're fairly relevant to us. And I think what this really boils down to is a question of, can I get into a popular class that has reserved seats? And the answer is yes. I did that this semester with a psych class that had reserved seats for psych majors. So even though I was the 3rd person to sign up for the class, I was put 2nd on the wait list, even though there's no one in the class yet. So when phase 2 started, I was put into the class. So, I mean, regardless of whatever it is, if there's reserved seats, because you're the first one on the wait list, when people drop or those spaces aren't filled, like, yes, you will get on it. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it. As a Regents scholar, you'll get on the wait list first, and I think the rule of thumb is like the top, like 10% to 20% of the class capacity will drop the class once the semester starts. So even if you're still on the wait list when the semester starts, you can still get on, because people are always trying to get into the popular classes, and that includes my major. So yeah, people definitely get in. So as a Regent scholar.
Thank you so much, Camille. Now we are getting some questions on our live chat thing. And so I'm just gonna start asking those ones to you guys. So one question is about Air Bears 2 or Eurodam on campus, about using which like Wi-Fi. I'm gonna say Air Bears. How do you guys feel?
Air Bears 2.
Air Bears.
All the way.
Okay.
Air Bears.
So that answers that one. And then one question actually asked Angel, what are you majoring and minoring in? Because I completely screwed that up when I was trying to introduce you.
I transferred from a community college in Los Angeles, majoring in sociology, but I'm pre-med. So basically simultaneously fulfilling all the classes that are required for the MCAT, and while still finishing up all the upper divisions for sociology.
So yes, that is Angel, everyone. Thank you. And then, so this question I would like to direct to everybody, but it's just, how do you choose which classes to take in phase 1 versus phase 2? Like, how do you choose?
So what I usually do is kind of like what Camille was mentioning. If there's a class that there's a low number of seats, or if there's like reserved seats in, go for that one. What's helpful for me is I usually talk to my political science advisors, and I talk to them about which classes are usually fill up the most quickly. We have this website called Berkeley Time, which is really helpful as well to go on and kind of see how quickly classes can fill up. And it's just a really great general resource as well. But usually if your major classes, I would sign up for first, but since you're incoming freshman, I would check out Berkeley Time. I would maybe, if there's a class you really, really want to take that you're really interested in, sign up for that one first.
What I would add is I am a person who doesn't get out of bed until 9 a.m. So if it is really important to you that none of your classes start until a certain time, if you put a class last, especially in the College of Engineering, you have to take math, you have to take physics, you have to take chem. So you have to take all those classes that all the pre-meds are also taking. So everybody's taking these classes, and they will have enough spots, most likely for you, especially as a Regent scholar. You'll get in the class, you'll just get a time that you hate. Like you're just gonna get the 8 a.m. lecture and the 8 a.m. discussion. And if you're okay with that, then sign up for those last. I would also say look up the professors, because especially in like the math department, there's gonna be one guy that you don't want to get, that you sign up for that class first to avoid that. If you're like some genius kid who just like reads the textbook and never goes to lecture and whatever, then perhaps that's not important to you. But especially for your first semester, you want to do well, you want to set yourself up for success, have a plan, know what classes you can take and you'd prefer to take, and which professors you'd like to avoid, and which discussion times you'd like to avoid, and then cross-reference that against Berkeley Time. You're all very smart, you can handle it, and pick those classes to go first. So like maybe math won't fill up first, but the good professor will fill up first. So like those kinds of things that you might not think about. I know I didn't think about them, and I did not like my first semester schedule at all. So think about that when you're doing that, is the professors and the times, because even if, Math 53 fills up with the good professor, maybe you can take Math 54 instead and take it later. So that kind of planning is what I would recommend.
Guys? I think that definitely covered most of it. And now there's a question that was asked about the RC guaranteed housing and how it works when you're living on campus. And so just to answer this really quickly, if you do move off campus your junior year, you can definitely move back on campus your senior year. It doesn't matter where you've lived previously, you will still get guaranteed housing if you choose to have it on campus. for example, I lived off campus my sophomore year, but now I'm going back to on-campus housing for my junior year, and I still got the living situation that I wanted. And then this question is asking whether we've gone every class we've asked for.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Anyone? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I have too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just in case you guys are wondering how legit the priority enrollment is, it's like, it's real. You get your first pick, generally speaking. And then another question asked what the deadline to drop classes was. And I'd like to say that that generally depends. I think some classes have an early drop deadline, and then some of them have just the normal drop. And I'm not actually sure when that is. Do you guys know when the normal drop deadline is?
I think it's 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to add that if you ever have extenuating circumstances, if something ever comes up, there are other processes that you can take, whether it's taking an incomplete or it's retroactively dropping a class. There are different avenues you can go about doing that. So I'd just like to mention that.
Yes, just in case that ever crosses your mind, yes, there are definitely ways to drop classes. And on that note, I believe that is everything. I know we've already gone over time by a few minutes, so I'm just gonna stop it now before I take up too much of your guys' time. And so in closing, I just wanted to say thank you to all of my panelists, because they've given up this hour and a half basically of their evenings to deliver this information for you guys. I really hope that this has been helpful and that we were able to answer you guys' questions. I will be sending an email out later on, giving you guys each of their email addresses, just in case you have any questions for them. I hope that's okay with you guys. Don't overload them though, because they're people. And if there are any questions left unanswered, please still send them over to us, whether it's on our Google form that we sent in our email a while ago, or if you can still add onto the comments on the YouTube channel thing. We will do our best to definitely get those answers back to you. And that is all. Thank you guys so much to our panelists, and congrats again to our incoming freshmen and transfers. So we will be waiting for you here at Cal. Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Gabby.